Calling Israel a colonial state, apartheid, genocidal is simply historical fantasy.
Anyone who has spent time with Palestinians cannot unsee what you see there. To see the settlers encroaching on it, the very blatant apartheid.
Amnesty's report is an infamous and disgusting document.
Why can't he be with us?
Full of lies, full of misrepresentation.
Because there are limits for Palestinians, so we can't.
A beacon of democracy in a sea of hostility.
I don't think it's defensible under any definition of democracy to call this place a democracy.
When you call Israel a democracy, which I guess is right in the title of his book, I think you run up against a real problem.
Do my kids have some kind of like a right to return?
The Zionist project always knew it was going to involve transfer.
That's insane that they have more right to live there than the Palestinians.
That was Benny Morris's words.
And it's been layered over with this idea that this is some liberal democracy.
Anyone that has been to Israel would know that the allegation of apartheid is simply false and an insult.
You see what non-democracy looks like.
To say Israel is a apartheid state.
When people look at the West Bank today and say this is an apartheid system, it's not just throwing out a word.
No one could intelligently describe Israel as an apartheid state.
The Zionist settlers, and they spoke about this openly.
Palestinians live in, day out, without experiencing a day of freedom.
In this allegedly apartheid state.
But forget that. I'll let that one go and just say, I'll call you a democracy if you just kept being a democracy like that moving forward.
Why is it everyone is banging on about the right to vote?
The real problem is the occupation that starts in 1967.
We would enter a house of an innocent Palestinian home in the middle of the night.
Western liberal democracy.
It's a democracy.
You cannot have interfaith marriage.
Unlike all the other countries in the region.
I could not marry my wife.
It's imperfect.
Prohibition on race mixing.
Like all democracies on the planet.
Exposes the tension between Zionist values and liberal values of equality.
Oh, this is what the American South would have felt like in the 1940s or 50s. Mm-hmm. And the thing that I think I had not been prepared for was its visual immediacy.
I immediately understood what was going on over there. And I have to say, it was quite familiar.
What we need is nuanced, thoughtful, and balanced interrogation of these issues. These are complicated issues.
The most shocking thing about my time over there was how uncomplicated it actually is.
There's things about Israeli society I like. I don't hate the people there. I'm Jewish. I love Jewish people.
1,000 Palestinians face one of the single biggest expulsion decisions since the Israeli occupation of the Palestinian territories began.
The way this is reported in the Western media is as though one needs a PhD in Middle Eastern studies to understand the basic morality.
This is part of a pattern of increased violence that has terrorized communities. In the past 2 years, we've seen over 31 Palestinian communities driven out of their homes.
This report does not give Israel any option to be legitimate in the eyes of Amnesty International unless it literally commits national suicide.
I understand that Greenblatt and perhaps Tapper feel like Israel is not an apartheid state, but unfortunately for them, apartheid isn't about your feelings.
An American citizen was killed intentionally by IDF.
That's not a democracy. That's an apartheid state.
They are a democracy.
Well, no, you're really not.
Israel is unsustainable. There's no coming back from this. Something new needs to be created. Critics should ask themselves how Israeli apartheid could be dismantled. What would a post-apartheid country look like? Lashana Tova.
These are politically determined. They're not simply because that's the way Arabs are. Right. That's the way Muslims are. And it's that racist discourse that I think is part of what makes it so hard for us to imagine that equality actually could make us safe.
So to see that more than double in just 5 years is shocking.
All forms of racism are interconnected.
And what this means in terms of government responses is that instead of law and order approaches, we support those that oppose all forms of racism, which don't create hierarchies of racism and which target systemic and structural discrimination.
The lids have been blown off the sewers by the anti-Zionists. So
I don't want to conflate anti-Zionism with anti-Semitism, but
they're the same. They're two hues of the same color.
The Jewish Council is deeply concerned about rises in anti-Semitism in Australia, which is part of a broader increase in racism that includes Islamophobia, anti-Indigenous racism, anti-Asian racism, and anti-Palestinian racism. And we're especially concerned about the rise of far-right extremism. We consider that the only way for us to effectively fight anti-Semitism is by working in partnership with other groups also facing bigotry and discrimination.
It's been incredibly disappointing to see some groups, politicise this moment and straight away start blaming other racialised groups.
It is incredibly powerful to see so many young people waking up, asking questions, young and old people.
The Empire did nothing wrong.
ASDA will graduate with a Bachelor of Science in Biomedical Engineering, Molecular and Cellular Engineering, and a minor in Resistance to Genocide.
The liberal media is not going to tell you that.
You may not know this, but ASNA is USC's 2024 valedictorian.
It was Assange Corey said, never let anyone tell you who your enemy is. Don't let them tell you that people who are protesting a genocide are your enemy.
Andrew Cuomo went into a synagogue in this race and called me and Zoran and the black speaker of the city council anti-Semitic.
They don't give a shit. Fairly highly educated class of Jewish city dwellers, and most of them rent.
You have people that are in control of large groups of people that convince these people that these other large groups of people that they don't even know are their enemies.
There's a class divide among Jews.
The enemies are the ones who are telling you that the students protesting for peace, protesting against the genocide,
they are happy to use us as pawns for their own political purposes.
Why do you call yourselves the Jewish Council of Australia?
The only Jewish safety that's important is Zionist Jewish safety.
You're emotionally damaged, Jewishly.
The ones telling you that these people are your enemy are the real enemies.
Don't fall for it.
We've got people in our country who hate our country. Thank you.
Yavo shalom aleinu. Yavo shalom aleinu. Yavo shalom aleinu.